If you ever considered raising your prices or completely change your pricing model, you know how nerve-wracking that process can be, especially in community-driven businesses where we have such a tight relationship with our customers. Now, over the almost 20 years I've been in business, I've been going through several cycles of price raises or business model changes or pricing model changes, and even moments where we wanted to raise the prices or we wanted to change the model but decided not to. And in this video, I want to share with you the thinking process that we use in order to make the better decisions and make sure the rollout of these new models are smoothly. We reduce the risk of having backlash, having to um, deal with a lot of angry customers and having to update our policies because we missed a bunch of different points in the process. Now, this is at the same time a continuation of the theory of constraint that I've started. So we've been going through the thinking processes of creating a goal, figuring out the current challenges that you're having, figuring out how to think about the conflicts or deadlocks that you can find yourself in, where you can't do A because of B, but you can't do B because of A, and you sort of feel really stuck. So in the previous videos, I walked you through all of these ones. And in this one, I want to introduce the future reality tree. That's basically when you sort of figured out where you are, what is the challenges, you had some insights on how to change your situation, and now how can you be as smooth as possible with your rollout. And I want to share with you the thinking process that is coming from this future reality tree method, and giving you the terminologies and approaches, as well as how we went through some of those steps, because I did some parts of it, but I also applied, let's say, pros and cons 2.0 technique to this. I want to share with you both of those ideas. Now, you basically list out where you are right now, your existing reality, and then also the desired effect, the outcome you want to have. And in that process, you are working on finding injections or solutions that sort of help you build towards the future that you want, as well as discovering all the negative branches. And also, again, they're using injections or solutions to trim those negative branches, and ideally end with figuring out different ways of building in positive reinforcing loops to make the whole thing work better and smoother. Let's go through it. The starting point that we want to address for this example is that if you watched any of the previous videos, I mentioned how this whole process helped us figure out that our bottleneck is too much work, and basically our ability to bring through development projects. So I laid out a whole strategy of how we could improve that situation. And as part of this strategy, at one point we came to the situation where we realized that we are wasting a lot of work in the whole payment and registration process, and felt really stuck about it. And that's where I had this insight, where if we can change and separate the payment from the booking process, we actually have new opportunities that we didn't consider in the past. And that sort of became the insight that broke the deadlock for us when it came to reducing workload in the administrative process as it relates to payment and sign-ups and stuff like that. And if we change these, we can actually introduce existing solutions. And one of them that we were looking into were introducing a membership model. Now, this was really scary because it completely broke the standard approach that I've seen implemented in our community. One reason why we never did membership model was because in that dance community, you need to control who are the people who are coming together in class. So There is very few people have automatic payment infrastructure built in because that technology is rare and hard and limited. Of course, this is one thing we are building for in our software, and also there we notice how big of a challenge that whole thing is to be done right. But as because it was such a different approach, the fear that we would have a strong backlash and this would completely ruin our business was strong. So it was extra important that we got this big decision right. Now, what I want to do is to walk you through the different possible branches that came out of this idea of introducing a membership model and how we implemented it and how we figured out what are the negative branches. So I'm gonna start here because I think this was one of the most important thing that this allowed us to do, and that is that payments can be handled automatically if we build the right infrastructure for it. And by building it meant basically implementing commercially available membership infrastructures that you can have for example, WordPress pages. We used MemberPress for that. And once you do that, you can, for example, have payment happening before people sign up to any of the courses, which means we don't have to chase the payments, which means it would reduce the workflow and the complexity of the administrative work, which will increase our work situation. Of course, the handling payment automatically also resulted in we don't have to control the payment, because a big part of it was that people sign up, we confirm that they have space, but they have to pay. Then we have to continuously check on the bank account to see when they do the transfer, and then send them an email to let them know like, hey, thank you for your payment. Everything is fine. Come to class. And that, of course, was a mess of administrative loop. But having payments happening before they can sign up to anything had a negative branch where people had to become members before even starting a course, meaning signing up ahead of time, which of course meant they're paying for things they are not getting. That's obviously not going to go well with the community to feel forced to pay for something they are not taking advantage of. So one way we trim this is to offer free weeks. When you start a membership, you get 3 weeks of that membership and all the other benefits that we introduced. For example, we had free access to our online passes, but also we introduced drop-in courses and different things that you can do while you wait for your course or as complementary to your courses that you're taking. Now, by the way, I'm not going to give you an exhaustive list of all the negative branches and our solutions, but the main ones basically. Now, another branch that the membership model opened up to us to was that we can apply a 30-day cycle. And the value of that is that people pay regularly. And the value of that is that because participants are not synced to pay on the same day, what's happening is that revenue curves are smoother. And this was a huge difficulty that we were facing in our business because revenue was unpredictable. It was high before courses start, and it sort of trickled down, and then next course or next event. So it was going like this, and that is actually putting a lot of stress on business and decision making. So we found that this approach could really help us smoothen the volatility of cash flow and provide higher financial predictability. Also in low seasons, that is also an important part of it. So everything became a smoother wave of high season, low seasons that was much easier to plan for. Now, of course, the 30-day cycle introduced another negative branch, which is the fact that our courses were based on 6-week cycles, and we had so many benefits with that time frame that we didn't want to change that. So now we had two different rhythms. We had the 30-day rhythm and we had the 6-week rhythm. And in fact, our 6-week courses doesn't start in the beginning of a month. They start when it's optimal for the season, considering other holidays and considering summer periods and stuff like that. So obviously, again, people who are only taking one course could feel forced to have to pay for 2 weeks because they would have to pay for 2 months instead of 6 weeks, so to say. So that was easy to trim. Just put in a policy that you can, if you cancel halfway through and you have 1 week or 2 weeks left of your course, it's on us. So we took the shortest straw in order to benefit from all these other aspects of having a membership model. Let me quickly interrupt myself to ask you for this favor. Now, I'm committed to take the 19 years of experience I have from this and put it into these videos to share with you as much as I know about organizing events, running dance schools, building teams, running communities, so that you can do an even better job making all of that happening for you. And what could really help me is if you do all this social media magic stuff, subscribe, like, comment, share with somebody that you think could benefit from these videos. You can choose your favorite video or the whole playlist or the organizer's checklist. Anything that spreads the message and the channel will help me tremendously. All right, much appreciated. Back to the video. Now, there were other aspects that was happening at the same time that we wanted to try to see if we could find a solution for. And one of them was that mostly people are taking one class a week because paying for one class, I mean, they would pay, if they take more than one class, we of course had discounts, but the feeling was that if you pay for one class, that has to be the best class you can participate in. And they didn't have so much motivation for the other classes, considering how much they had to pay for it. So as a consequence of that, people didn't benefit from all the aspects of our community. They didn't feel the improvement fast enough, which meant that they started to develop negative self-images about themselves, feeling like I've done this for now 6 months or a year, and I still feel like I don't know what to do as a dance when I come into the dance classes. Obviously, that's a big problem, and this affects retention rate and churn, which is something I talked about the importance of in another video. Many classes have excess capacity. Now, obviously, this comes from the problem of our inability to really maximize our sales and marketing. And that's a whole skill and something to improve on. But because our classrooms were rather large, it was hard to make sure that every class had maximum number of participants, meaning we had empty capacity that goes wasted right after the class, right? So what if we could pass some of that excess capacity to our participants? The other thing is also that we found the community to have many sub-communities. Basically, many cliques were forming of people who took the classes together. They stayed together. They didn't want to switch and go to the other classes. And also at the community activities like the social dances, they didn't want to dance with other people either. They just wanted to dance amongst themselves. So it became very cliquey. It became very elitist because the higher level people wanted to only stay with the higher level people. So these are all very common problems communities face. And we wanted to really promote people to spread out and take more classes. Now, feeding this into the reality tree, we realized that we can invite people to take more classes and even take more classes with different groups. So really spread out and sort of get to know people across different levels and different groups. This helped people to learn faster, and this helped people to build a stronger community as a whole. Imagine, even in the beginner classes, we always had people from more experienced groups, people joining those beginner classes, and that created a really nice experience where people get to know each other from across different levels, and those beginners could benefit from dancing and learning for the first time with an experienced dancer. Of course, we did have to point out that, hey, benefit from the situation, but don't compare yourself, because these people some of them have been dancing for a very long time, other people for a few times. But try to not put pressure on yourself to think that as you're here for the first time, you need to perform the same way as the other ones. Just take advantage and learn from them. And consequently, the community as a whole got much healthier, and healthier community promotes our values, made the work more enjoyable. And as you can see, healthier community also results in more revenue, churn reduces dramatically, and people stay. It's easier for them to stay longer because they build a lot more connections with people. And that on its own opened up a great opportunity for a positive reinforcing loop, because we basically could let people take as many classes as they could as long as we had capacity. So that became a policy that we introduced, where we say, with the membership, we try to hold ourselves accountable to give you 1.3 classes or courses, as we calculated in terms of minimum value exchange. And 1.3 is basically you have a course and you get a drop-in class. If you do those, you have already got the value back from your membership model. But as long as we have space available in the class, you're more than welcome to join. Just pay a little bit attention to how challenging it will be if you don't have the experience. So we try to provide different experience levels. So that was a very powerful positive reinforcing loop, because many people came many days, they improved really fast, and they built a lot of bonds with people. So you can imagine how impactful that was. And also for our teachers, they have fuller classes, they have happier participants, and it really brought a whole nother level of energy to class. And now, of course, there are negative branches we had to pay attention to. And one of the most important one was people are fundamentally often skeptical to membership models. Now, this is partly today, everything is going in the membership direction. So actually now it's becoming more and more standard in many different industries. So people don't think so much about it. But at the same time, I know it from my own gym, I'm locked in. Like if I cancel my my gym membership and move away, I still have to pay to the end of the term, which they make it actually even hard to understand when it is. So we had to trim these different challenges. One of them is it's hard to convince new people to join a membership if they don't know what they're getting. Well, that was an easier one. We just made the first drop-in class for free. You don't even need to sign up, just come. And of course, introducing single courses, which is also, some people just simply refuse membership concepts. So yes, we made it possible to pay for single course or single drop-in as well. But it's very clear that beyond that one course, you immediately get so much more value for if you have a membership. So, and we see that because I don't have the real stats, but by far the majority of people are using membership. I would dare to say it's 90%. I should have looked that up. Now, membership has a problem that you can feel locked in, the same thing as I have with my with my gym. Now, for that, what we did is we make sure the power is on the customer's side, meaning the customers has a login area on our website. They can themselves go and pause and cancel whenever they want. They get a reminder 5 days before that a payment is happening, and no questions asked, because we can't. They have the power to switch that on and off. So we really managed to trim those. However, now some people still would just simply refuse any model changes because for whatever reason, they were really hung up on the previous model and didn't want to accept anything. But there is a level of there's part of this where it's basically outside of your control to make people think a certain way. You can cut this side. This is why we didn't cut the branch here. Some people did not like it, but it was so overwhelmingly positive outcome for everything we were trying to achieve for that it was even today I say like this was one of the best decisions we've made. Now, this was the process of the future reality tree. So you figure out where you are and the situations you're having. You figure out where you want to go. You're building the logical step-by-step processes that gets you there, and figuring out what are the negative um, branches that can come up, and come up with injections to cut them off before they happen. This can really minimize the backlash you can have in the rollout. You minimize the need of coming back with new policies afterwards because you didn't think this through. Now, while I was working on something like this with the team, I introduced what I like to call the pros and cons 2.0 list. Basically, I made a spreadsheet where I asked the team to write down their name so we can know who's from whom is coming from, give the line a reference number so we can sort of refer to it easily, and then highlight whether the comment they are sharing is a pro, con, an idea, a question, or a goal. This really helped understand on what level, what is the type of thing we're discussing, and then also define for whom is this for. Are you speaking for the business, for the teachers, for admin, for the customer and the community? And also importantly, when you're having such difficult conversations, because everybody's obviously stressed by the risks that such a big change can have on the business and our security. So this is why it's really important to introduce ways of controlling that the conversation is productive and moving forward, and not getting pulled in 50 different directions and having a lot of unclarities. And one of those unclarities is, how important is this for you? When you're mentioning this thing that you're saying as a con or as a question, is this I'm just curious, or is this like, if this doesn't go right, I'm out of here sort of thing, right? What's the weight of it? So you just ask people to put a number that indicates, I feel strongly about this, or I feel like I just want to check this out. Then you do the same thing on the other side of this, where you put a number on, you think this can have a huge impact, or you think this could be a thing. And then you collect injections or solutions to different, for example, for each con, you collect the injections, and then also note down the questions, the comments, the summary of each different pro con idea, question, and goal, basically. This allowed us to really keep an overview of everything. This allowed us to go back and forth between different points, not lose track of them, not let us get distracted by, if you remember in the previous video, I talked about in stressful situation, people have the tendency to go pull the conversation in many different directions at the same time. That is really disruptive. But at the same time, you don't want to shut down different negative branches, for example. You do want to be able to address them. So this sort of pros con 2.0 version really helped us collect all these things, control the conversation so it's always continuously went in a productive direction, come back to it with breaks without losing track of things. And I wouldn't take the actual numbers too seriously. These are just personal opinions and thoughts. You don't need to over systematize and give every number of value. That's not the goal. Frankly, at the end of the day, you don't even need to tally the numbers and see like, okay, we have this many pros and this many cons, so we go for it or we don't go for it. That is not the goal. The goal is for you to be able to figure out, is this negative branch something we can do anything about? And if we can't, how important, how big of a disruption can that be on the whole idea? Is the idea still worth it? And we've had moments where we said, okay, even though we couldn't cut this one little branch, that branch was too important to let us go through with the program. So it's still very important to be able to collect all of these things. At the end of the day, it's a tool for you to strengthen your intuition, is a tool for you to map out your thinking process so that you really maximize your potential for success and minimize all the different negative side effects that could happen that you otherwise wouldn't think of. and this way have more successful rollout of your strategic ideas. All right. I hope you enjoyed this. As always, if you have any questions, if you want to know more about the details of our pricing change models, because you're considering similar one for yourself, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to sit down with you and go over those processes. All right. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.